Gym Go-Getters, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about shame and how people try to shame you out of claiming your own ancestral identity. Racial hierarchies and racial classifications are just this: manipulation tools and tactics to keep people in line. It was never about correctly identifying people. It was about identifying people where the napkin Americans seen fit. If you were not white, you were not on their level. And we see this throughout history. And when it comes to how the napkin Americans operate, they operate off on shame. They have spent centuries shaming indigenous people into conforming into these societies they, the napkin Americans, have created. And we see this on a day-to-day basis. We see this when we claim our own ancestral identity. Anytime when one of us say, oh, well, I'm American Indian, I have indigenous ancestry, I have an indigenous bloodline running through my veins, the first thing that the napkins or people that think like them say is, oh, you're ashamed of being black. Oh, you're ashamed of being African. And they use this reverse psychology to get you to conform. They have been doing this for centuries with our own ancestors. For centuries, the Mayo monsters have pushed the narrative that white is right, and if you're not white, you would never be seen as top society. And quite frankly, it worked. This is why people think that in order to be indigenous, you have to be close to looking like a white person. Now, it's no secret that many, or should I say most, of these stereotypical natives actually hold high percentages of European ancestry. And if you don't know, you've probably been living under a rock, but I'm just going to break it down even further for a lot of you who don't know. The Napkin Americans purposely reclassified darker skinned indigenous people out of history to gain benefits and land that were supposed to be given to indigenous people, no matter their color or hair texture. And they did not want that. White people wanted the benefits and the resources for themselves. So they adopted themselves into indigenous nations. And we're not going to pretend like they were able to get in by the way of their mixed children who have indigenous ancestry, because the mixed race indigenous people let the white people in. They let them in on the reservations. They let them in on these Indian rolls. And we can't forget that white people were paying $5 to be listed on the dolls rolls as well. Mayo monsters literally paid and written themselves into indigenous American identity. And yet they think that they can shame us into not accepting and claiming our indigenous ancestry. Like, ho, is you cool? You have to be a grimy, shisty, disgusting individual to think that you can just invade your way into indigenous spaces and think that the people who belong to those spaces are not going to stand up and speak up for themselves. However, I am talking about Mayo monsters. So Mayo monsters don't care if you defend yourself or not. They have a game plan that they intend on executing, which is get the land, get the rights, and get the resources, and forget about everything else. This is why when we do speak up and tell our side of the story, they use shame. Shame is a very effective manipulation tactic and tool that they have used on us for centuries. They shamed our ancestors into believing and accepting a racial hierarchy that was never supposed to be beneficial for them. And when our ancestors and even elders were like, no, we're not going to conform to this, we don't like this, they unalived them, buried 6 feet under, put them in the coffin. A lot of indigenous people were so traumatized by seeing so many of their loved ones being unalived by the extreme terrorism that they were facing by the Mayo monsters that they classed themselves in with the black demographic, knowing good and well that they are not black. They don't agree with that racial classification or reclassifications, depending on how they really thought about racial hierarchies and so on and so forth, that they was like, you know what, I don't even care. I'll call myself black. I will mix myself in with the black demographic. I'll do anything I need to do to live and see another day. And that's quite sad because now their descendants think that they are actually black. I don't believe in racial classifications due to the simple fact that they are tools of oppression. They were never meant to correctly identify people as who they truly are. It was used to subjugate and profile people on how the African Americans saw fit. So when people try to shame me into accepting racial classifications and racial narratives that have been forced upon us by the Mayo creatures, I just simply laugh. I think, how you, a colonized minded person, is going to tell me who I am? You don't even know who you are. If you had any type of autonomy over yourself, actually, let's take it a step further. If you had any speck of self-respect, you would not be accepting racial identities that people use to wipe you off the face of the earth. A lot of people are actually lazy. They rather just go off on what is told to them than actually doing the research for themselves to ensure that they're making the best decision when it comes to themselves, their family, their children, and making sure that they're not giving their autonomy away to someone or something that doesn't even see them as a living, breathing being. So if you, an originating person who has proudly proclaimed your original ancestry and you're proud of it, you stand 10 toes down on it, you actually embrace and practice your culture, a lot of people are going to feel uncomfortable. They're going to be like, hey, you're too dark to say that you're indigenous. Oh, well, you have Negro features. Indigenous people don't have Negro features. So why are you claiming to be indigenous and this, that, and the third, when in reality, those people are highly uneducated? They have not been taught properly about American history. And this is why it's important for us to speak our truth. People want us to be quiet. They want us to sit in the corner with fingers pointed at us saying, shame on you, shame, 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 because they think that by shaming us, they can manipulate us back into being subservient to people that never wanted to see us succeed in life. But you know what? They can kiss my fatty. Because quite frankly, I don't give two crab legs if someone thinks that I hate myself. You think I hate myself? Okay, that's your prerogative. That's your opinion. And quite frankly, what you think of me is none of my business. And on another note, no one didn't even ask of your opinion. No one did not ask you, what do you think I am? Or what do you think about my ancestry? Or what do you think I think of myself? No one didn't ask you that. No one cares if you think that we hate ourselves. You can't shame us into what you want us to be. It's not working. It's not working. It would never work. It may have worked on our elders and ancestors, but try that now and see how quick you'll get blocked. Because I don't argue with people anymore. I just block them because Why would I spend time with someone that doesn't value me as a person and think that I should conform to the expectations and identities that they placed onto me that I never agreed with? Like, respectfully, kiss my fatty. But anyway, tell me what y'all guys think in the comment section. Go get them, gym go getters.